Which classic Stephen King story would you like to see Craig stumble into one day?
Hmm, good question.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Jaeden, so good to see you again, man. I truly,
Yeah,
genuinely, with all my heart, love this movie. So congratulations, man.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
It
I'm
looks
gonna
like you don't have a shirt on because of the glare of the camera, but
Oh, I promise you, it would just be a blinding white if I didn't have it. You could take a white balance off if that was the case. No one wants to see that. I'm going to jump into this because I got 1,000 questions for you. Obviously, you've been in multiple Stephen King movies by this point. I'm really curious as to what that means in terms of your access to him. Like, do you have his number? Can you just text him? Can you call him up if you have questions? Like, does being in 3 King films earn you that right?
No, definitely not. I've never met Stephen King himself. The only time is like when he writes a little blurb on Twitter, and then I get a million texts being like, Stephen King just mentioned you, or mentioned the movie that you're in, and I go to check Twitter, and that's it. That's the only interaction we have.
Have
Uh,
you ever thought about like what would be like the one thing you would like to ask him if you had the chance to talk to him?
that's a great question. Well, I was after having done it and reading it, and then reading this, I read his book on writing.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, great. It's very personal, and talks about his life. So I would kind of want to delve into that. I'm not sure what I would ask though. Um, I would be terrified to meet him.
That's one of my dream interviews, man. Hopefully, I can make it happen one day. You know, one of the things that we all know about the works of Stephen King is that it's all connected. So many of his stories and his characters cross over. Which classic Stephen King story would you like to see Craig stumble into one day?
Hmm, good question. I mean, Stand By Me, The Shining, um, any of those would work. That would be
So,
cool.
so on his way to go find the body, he stumbles across the Overlook Hotel. Like all of them are
Yes,
just going to come
exactly.
together.
All of them coming crashing
I
down.
love it.
Yeah.
Netflix is behind the scenes right now going, yeah, this is all good. They're just writing all this stuff down. I love that you guys really specify and dive into specifically which books Craig is reading to Mr. Harrigan. If he were going to take one of Steven's books off the shelf and dust it off and read to him, which one do you think Craig should read to Mr. Harrigan, or that maybe Mr. Harrigan would respond to?
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that. You know, if it bleeds, Mr. Harrigan. No, but
It's just going to get very meta all of a sudden.
yeah, yeah, it's super meta. Uh, like I said, one of my favorites is his book on writing. I feel like,
Yeah.
um, I think it's cool to see where all of it stems from. Like his writing has a very nostalgic feel to it, and
Mhm.
you can sort of link all of these little elements and details between all of his books, because he's writing from a very personal place.
Mhm.
Um, and I love his book on rain because you see why, you see how it all comes together.
And also, one of the things I liked about that book is he's very open about his struggles with addiction and alcoholism, and it kind of changed. Like I look at The Shining differently, and I look at Doctor Sleep because they're really about alcoholism and recovery. It just really gave me a new perspective on his work, which I thought was fantastic. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you really you like that one.
Mhm.
I'm really curious about, I guess, just your texting and phone relationship with Donald Sutherland. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him a few times. He's a man of few words, and he doesn't suffer fools. He's a professional. So I'm sort of curious, what is it like texting or communicating via phone with him?
Um, it's always. I mean, I've gotten one text from him, and the weight of it is fucking. Excuse me. The
It's
weight,
okay.
the weight of getting a text from Donald Sutherland is incredible. It's like, is this really happening? Um, he texts me after having wrapped on the movie, and he wrote a beautiful message and also gave me some homework to do. He listed a few plays and books that I should go over and memorize. And I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. It feels so precious. I'll cherish that text forever.
That's fantastic. Jaeden, I'm such a fan of your work, man. You continue to do just deliver amazing performances. And as a King fan and as a big fan of If It Bleeds, I truly, truly love this film. And I love that you guys kept that last line in there. That was fantastic. So I wish I had more time, but seriously, thank you for having fun with my weird questions. I appreciate you.
No, thank you very much.
It is an honor to see you, sir. How are you?
Hey, Jake, John, please.
John, I got to tell you, I genuinely, truly, truly love this film. So seriously, thank you for taking the time. I think it's so interesting though that some of the greatest Stephen King adaptations of all time have come from his short stories. You threw obviously this film in the mix. You've got The Body or Stand by Me and Shawshank and The Mist and 1408. Why do you think specifically his short stories lend so well to being adapted?
You know, it's a really good question, and I'm not sure I have a really good answer for it, but you're right. Those are some, among my favorites are the ones that were novellas or short stories. And I really don't know why. I know I can say for me why I was drawn to it.
Sure, please.
Which was, it was 80-something page novella. The opportunity to kind of try to get in Stephen's head a little bit and look at the themes that he was exploring and expand on those a little bit and activate certain things that were memories of this narrator as a good challenge. And so for me, that was one of the reasons to take it on.
I love the last line of the short story, and I love that you kept that last line in there, which is fantastic. You mentioned getting in the head of Stephen King. Stephen King is my dream interview. I've been trying to get in touch with him and make an interview happen for about almost 20 years, which is crazy. But I'm curious, when you are making a Stephen King film, what is your access to him? Do you get his number? Do you get to call him or text him if you have questions? Is there an open line of communication?
It's incredibly open, and that's due to Stephen's openness. I mean, the first thing I did was write a letter because there were several different entities vying for the rights to this novella, as well as the other novellas in the book, If It Bleeds. So I wrote Stephen a long letter talking about, what I liked about the novella, Mr. Harrigan's Phone, and kind of thoughts I had. I didn't have any solutions yet, but I had thoughts. And he emailed back almost instantly and said, "Hey, thanks for the kind words. Let's do this. Steve." And I go, wow, that's Stephen King email me. Okay. And we started a relationship over email. I've never met him in person because of COVID, but over the phone and over email. And also I would during prep, and I would say, here's a location that I'm thinking about for Howie's Market. And that's coming from his brain. He made up the name. He has it in his mind's eye, what it looks like. And he would chime in and he would go, no, I like that. And here's why. So we started a relationship through email and phone that was, I would say, at least a couple of 3 times a week during production and everything, because I wanted him in the loop. And when I had real questions, he would answer them quickly. And boy, I mean, I'll send him an email even today, and within 5 minutes, I'll have a response. He's been an amazing partner.
So what you're saying is, if I want to get that interview with Stephen King, I need to make a Stephen King film, and then it opens up a line of communication. I get what you're telling me.
That's all you have to do.
Got the back door. That's it. Very simple. I have a very stupid question for you, but I genuinely was wondering this while watching the film. How did you get so many perfectly immaculate iPhone 1s?
Really good props department.
Oh, really?
And the funny thing is that we were in search of them. So we asked, the first thing is all your crew members and stuff when you're in prep, anybody have any old phones they want to donate to the, and my assistant, Jack Kramer, was a young guy who had lots and lots of phones. And he was a guy that would, way back in his criminal youth would mess with what they call jailbreak the phones and stuff like that and sell them on eBay and all that kind of stuff. So he had a bunch of old phones that props just took them all, and the computers too. So a lot of computers are Jack's as well.
Wow, that's so cool. I love stuff like that. I love that you guys really specify and focus on which books Craig reads to Mr. Harrigan. So I'm curious, if Craig were going to pull a Stephen King novel off the shelf and read it to Mr. Harrigan, what do you think would be the premier novel that he should read to him?
I think Mr. Harrigan would have a real appreciation for Shawshank.
Oh, yes.
So it's in the vein of more of the books that he has Craig read to him. I mean, I know it's a novella as well, but still, I think that would be one that he would probably pull off the shelf.
Yeah, and I think in that they read Count of Monte Cristo, which I think Mr. Harrigan would appreciate the the beauty of that.
No doubt.
John, seriously, it was an absolute pleasure. I truly, Stephen King films and novels are like very much my thing. And this one is just, it's perfect. So seriously, thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, thanks.
I really appreciate you. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.